Hey, how you doing today? So today I'm going to be talking about what I think is the most difficult thing to overcome when you decide to start investing towards your future retirement, whether you're going to be retiring in a few years or in 30 or 40 years. I dare say that if you are in your 20s, this is going to be tough. If you're in your 30s or 40s, it might still be tough. And I'll be honest with you, even when you're in your 50s, it can be tough. So let's get started. My name is Frank Thomas. Thanks for joining me today. And what is the hardest thing when it comes to investing? Mindset. It all comes down to how you look at this right from the get-go. If you don't get this right, you will not save, and I promise you that. Now, why is that? It comes down to the fact that I have a simple rule when I'm discussing investing to somebody who's trying to understand how to invest. And that is, whatever you decide to put away, you're never going to spend personally. And I have people look at me like, what? That's my money. And why would I do that? Aren't I investing to spend it one day? Yes and no. You have to look at it this way. You want to get to a place where whatever you invest into your future investment account, whether you decide to join a FIRE program, financial independence, retire early, or true natural retirement at the age of 65 or whatever age you choose, there is one thing you always have to remember, and that is that the money you put in is money that you'll spend last or never. It's optimal if you get to a position if you can actually give that as an inheritance to your future children or to whatever your favorite charity is. So you have to kind of get through that and say, okay, whatever I'm investing, I'm never going to spend. I'm just going to grow. And that's very important. If you are saving for something, I know one of my children is saving for a house right now, and they've done well. It's saving a fair chunk of change, but they're saving with a goal in mind, and it's a goal they can see and obtain within a year or 2 or 3. Investing towards your retirement is a different animal because, especially, when I talk to my 21-year-old, she doesn't get it. She honestly doesn't. And I'm not saying that in a critical manner, but she can't see retirement because she's so young that it's so far away. And I can say that with all confidence because when I was 21, I wasn't thinking of retiring. Not in the slightest least. I got a long way to go. I got lots to do. I'm going to still be, a millionaire by the time I'm 30. We've all thought that, I'm sure. But anyhow, the real thing here to think about is you got to get beyond the mindset that you're not saving for a thing. You're saving for a future event. And I was watching a video recently, and they said one of the hardest things is to save your first 100,000. And that's very true. I dare say the hardest thing is to save your first 1,000. Put $1,000 away into your retirement account, and you're putting it away into investments that it's almost too late, but I'm going to talk to you about that in future videos. But, getting through that first 100,000, by the time you hit 100,000, you get it. And you understand that, hey, I'm doing this for a future that I want to have, whether it's in 5 years, 10 years, or 35 or 40 years. That doesn't matter. It's for that future event. So get through that mindset, think it through. It's very easy to get into this place where you borrow against it in the future. I was actually watching a video that was done by a large news group that was talking about people who borrowed into this is a states thing, their 401ks, and they've bled it dry, or they've pulled so much from it that it's worthless. I've done that. I was saving every time I had some extra money. What I would do is I would haphazardly save. So I would say, I need to put some money away, and I'm getting this bonus from work. And I remember the first time I got a bonus when I was in my late 30s, and it was a bonus for $5,000. And it was a lot of money to me then. And I'm like, oh yeah, give me the money, baby. And once I got it, I realized that after the taxman took his chunk, I ended up with maybe $2,400 from that $5,000. I went, what happened here? Basically, taking that extra money in that month popped me into a new tax bracket, and I got hit a lot harder on taxes. And I realized, wow, like it's nice to have that extra money, but I don't want to give it to the tax man. So it was a year later or 2 years later that the same company offered me a $10,000 bonus. And I said to them, put it into my RRSP. Just put it into my RRSP. And they did. And it was the hardest thing I think I've ever done, because I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to get that money. But I realized, wait a second, if the government takes half, I might get maybe $5,000 out of that 10. I want all of it. I want the whole 10,000. So what I did was I put it into RRSP. I tell you, once I had told the person who was doing the payroll to do that and walked out of their office, I was like, oh, okay. And then I, kind of went on with life. And it felt good to do that. It felt really good. And it started getting me motivated to put away. And I did. And for a long time, I put away a lot of money. And then I hit a place where I didn't get that mindset of, this is money I'm never going to spend. And this is why this video is so important. I didn't get that mindset then. I had saved a lot of money, well into six figures. And I decided that I'm going to branch out on my own and I'm going to start my own business. And I've got enough here, AKA the retirement fund, to cover the bumps in the beginning. And boy, that bump lasted a long time. And it was gone in the course of about a decade. And yeah, I had made money and I had retrained myself and I had learned a lot, and it was the most expensive education I ever had. And I'll just leave it at that. And I found myself at the age of 50 and I had nothing saved. I was at least smart enough to realize, you don't do this. You don't touch it. It's not money I am going to spend. This is not for me to spend. This is for me to save and to invest and to put away and let it grow. I will spend what is created from it, but not what I put into it. That's kind of the end goal here. I put away money to about $30,000. I had done really well with the product I had built, and I put away this $30,000, and I was pretty proud of myself. And sure enough, ran into some harder times, and I guess the lesson wasn't learned well enough yet. And I hit a place where I needed to take out about 10 of it to cover some expenses. It's either 5 or 10,000. I think it was 5,000. At the end of the day, it hurt. And I remembered thinking to myself, when this happened, I was like 54, 55, and I'm like, hey, I've got like nothing saved I got less than 20,000 saved for retirement. And that is just not going to go very far. And it started to eat away at me. And and there's a lot of things I'm going to talk about in other videos and what myself and my family did to change things up so we could save. But at the end of the day, it really kind of cemented in my mind that I can't touch this. I can't touch the seed capital I put into it ever. And that has actually launched me once we made a whole bunch of changes, which like I said, I'll discuss in another video, and launched us into these other changes. I was able to save, and I started to diligently save. Now, in the beginning, wasn't able to save a lot. It was only, I think I was looking back to, it was 2 years ago exactly, or just over 2 years ago, I was able to save about $500 a month. That was it. And I realized it still wasn't enough, but I was going to save something. I just wasn't going to give up. So I started saving this $500, and by the end of the year, I had raised that to about $700 or $800. And I'll show you the numbers here in a future video. But I started saving that extra money, and that felt pretty good. That actually felt pretty awesome. And at the end of the year, we were able to save. We went from, because we had about, I think we had about $20,000 when I started this journey about 2 years ago. At the end of the year, we had put away $30,000 to $40,000. And it still wasn't a lot, but I was like, yes, we're up to 5 figures now. Let's get it to 100,000. Let's get it to 100,000. And I thought that it was going to take me at least 3 years to get to $100,000. And at the end, and in February, well, it is February now, February 2023, this is the month right now, we broke $100,000. And it was just, and it brings us just a little, 2 years and a month from when I really started getting serious about this. Since then, I've really gotten this mindset. I've really gotten this, yes, gotta save, and I'm never going to spend it. And without being miserly, it was actually interesting when my wife said to me that, you've changed in that, you're not just trying to be a miser. In the past, you've tried to be a miser, but now you're enjoying life and you are kind of saving for life's other things like expenses and vacations, and we're going on vacations now. But you are saving, and you're saving quite aggressively. And I'm excited because I'm about to put another $10,000 into our long-term savings. We're saving, to give you an idea, roughly $2,000 a month. Instead of $500, we're up to $2,000. And I'm going to be sharing with you a lot of ideas that I've come up with that are very tangible and doable for anybody to do, regardless of what your skill sets are. It still comes down to, you're going to have to trade some time for money here. So let's make it as effective as possible. Again, another video coming up. But to conclude, I want you to really think about that, and think about the fact that you got to get the mindset, whether you're 15 or 55, that I'm saving and I'm never going to spend this money. No incident in life is going to be strong enough for me to touch what I'm about to put away. And you have to build that mindset. If you build that mindset and you learn that mindset at 20, oh my goodness gracious, you'll be a powerhouse. And a lot of videos will make you feel like, oh, I just can't do this. Like I've watched a lot of videos, and I do investing into dividend stocks, some ETFs, things like that. But that's not where the money's being made. That's where the money's growing, and it's making more money than sitting in a savings account, let's say at a bank. But that's not where the money's being made. I'm going to be talking about that and talking about side hustles and that in a future video here. A lot of future videos, yes, I know. But to be honest with you, you have to build that mindset. So start today. Start thinking about, even if you decide and you're not making a lot of money, and I say the other big mindset as a kind of a bonus at the end here is save consistently every month, every paycheck. If you get paid every 2 weeks, I pay us once a month through my business. Whatever your pay period is, every single pay period, pay yourself first. Whether it's $20, $200, $2,000, I don't care. And that is money you'll never spend. Start doing it, and I promise you, you'll retire faster and with more money than you ever thought. Please be sure to subscribe, and that way you can get notification if there's future videos. So thank you very much for listening, and we'll talk to you later.